Okay, so after doing about 5 minutes of kind of easy jogging, I'll go ahead and go into my static stretching, no more than 10 seconds, kind of moderate stretch, no pain. Got sitting hamstring, each sideline quadricep stretch, about 10 seconds each side. We'll go prone piriformis after the sideline quadricep. So lay back. My piriformis are very tight, so didn't push too hard here. Then we'll go into the butterfly stretch. I like to try to sit up as straight as I can here, work on my postural muscles. Then I'll go into Spider-Man lunge for about 10 seconds, and then kneeling hip flexor for about 10 seconds, and then a high hip hamstring stretch for about 10 seconds, and then I'll do all that on the left side. I'm doing on the right side now. Got leaves sticking to my hands. That's what I get for doing this in the rain. So I'm now done with the kind of short static stretching portion. Now I'll go through some arm circles, nice and slow. Try to take the shoulder girdle through a pretty decent range of motion. Go forward and backwards. Move to my left hand, and I think I start going forwards. And then I go backwards, and I forgot that I went forward, so I start going forward again. So then we'll go, I only have about 6 yards set up here between my little markers, but for a soccer athlete I would have them going probably 10 to 15 yards of each of these movements. So we start with a walking lunge fairly slow, trying to keep the shoulders over the hips. Then we'll do a side lunge. Outside leg, in this case right leg, is straight. Load up the left leg, try to push my hips back. Try to keep my chest as upright as possible. Go the other way with it. It's really hard to do this on uneven ground. The yard is a lot less even than I realized. Surprised I didn't fall over. So then we'll go to a slightly faster movement, marching, kind of an exaggerated marching drill, trying to get most of my arm action to come from the shoulder. And then we'll go butt kicks. And we'll go high knee running. And then we'll do some skips. Lateral shuffle. Went a little bit too fast for my camera person there. Not saying that I'm fast, but and then ground so uneven I wanted to balance myself for my leg swings. Do about 10 of these. Probably lost count when I was doing them. Probably did 8 or 12. Can't really see from this angle, but I'm trying to get good extension at the hip. Take the hip through a wide range, and then also bend the knee to kind of simulate the movement of kicking, which is very relevant for soccer. It's a good thing to do regardless of being a soccer player or not, but that's such a soccer specific movement, that wind up before they kick, getting that foot up high behind their butt and then following through. So I tried to do that. I'm obviously not a soccer player, and obviously I don't have the best range of motion in my hips anymore, but I'm more of one of those do as I say coaches versus one of those do as I do coaches. Watching this here, I think my hip flexibility is terrible. My upper body was swaying all over the place. And then we'll add in just a little bit of plyometric work. I'll do, oh no, excuse me, karaoke first. Again, I would do these on, 10 to 15 yard or even longer lengths for warming up a field athlete, rugby, soccer, football. But for the sake of this video, not taking a half an hour, just did shorter distances, and then do 5 counter movement jumps. The middle one I didn't do a counter movement on. And for the sake of time, I just kind of strung them together. Normally I'd have my athlete rest probably 10, 12 seconds in between reps. And then we'll do counter movement broad jumps. Again, 5 of those. So that kind of takes you through a general warm-up of a 5-minute jog. Any kind of monostructural movement, and then some static stretching. Trying to limit that to about 10 seconds. For a soccer player, primarily focusing on the leg and hip muscles. Would obviously focus on specific muscles if I have an individual athlete who has had an injury in a particular area or is very often tight. They got a real issue with tightness in a certain area. This was just kind of a general static stretching routine, but if possible I try to individualize the static stretching. And then a sport-specific dynamic movement, which kind of worked from slow to faster movements, and tried to include a little bit of active isolated. Some of those movements just naturally kind of have that active isolated element in them, but the forward and sideways leg swings are probably the best example of that. And then some mild plyometric drills at the end. So that is kind of a brief overview and video of a warm-up including static and dynamic flexibility pre-game or pre-practice for a soccer athlete.